Wheel is off. I'm not going to show you how to do that again. So you need a 13mm and a 15mm spanner, or a 13mm socket. I used a 30mm socket to undo the bolt, so that I didn't round off the nut, and then carried on with a 13mm spanner. The 15mm is to hold the other nut in place so that it doesn't turn at the same time. Same on the bottom. It's a perfect mirror image. Haven't filmed it that well, so we'll just manage with what we've got. So undoing the 13mm, take the bolts out, both of them all the way out, and then you need to make sure the chocks are under the opposite rear wheel, and then you take the handbrake off before you do all this, because nothing's moving until the handbrake's off. So once the handbrake's off, you can start trying to push the piston back to release some of the pressure so that you can take the caliper off. This caliper was a little bit seized, so it took some time to pry it off, but it will come off in the end. I wouldn't worry about it too much. So when you're taking these off, it's sort of a bit at the bottom, bit at the top, bit at the bottom, bit at the top, and it will come off. You just need to make sure that your brake pipe and your handbrake wire don't get kinked or bent or in any shape or form, like stretched. You just they should stay in the same position. And then you need a pot or something at the side around the same height just to rest it on, because you can't hang this on the suspension springs like you can on the front. It basically just dangles like that. Yeah, once it's off, the brake pads will just fall out basically, and then it's just a matter of getting the disc off. You want a bit of WD-40 in each of the holes and on the holding screw. Once all that's in, give it about 10 minutes, have a cup of tea or something, come back to it. The oil would have penetrated through and you know, made things a bit more easier. Get mole grips on the disc to stop it moving backwards and forwards, because there's obviously no handbrake or anything now. I mean, other people will try and take it off before they take the caliper off. That's an idea, but I always do it this way. I use a mole grip so I can take the disc off as well, or I'll use a screwdriver in the front, as you've seen in part one. So we take the little holding screw out. It shouldn't be that easy or hard. You just undo it, and then yeah, the rest of it can be by hand. And then the disc should just come off if you put plenty of WD-40 on. It shouldn't be stuck there. Then we're going to start to clean everything up, get a brush, start to get all the brake dust off. You can wear a mask, some safety goggles, gloves for this. I didn't put gloves on. I don't know why. I think it was just a difficult job for me trying to film. It was the first time I ever filmed this much and done this much work. There was a lot of work involved, and trying to keep the camera, you know, I'll have to apologize for the camera position. I'm just trying to show you as best I can and do the job at the same time. So I'm putting plenty of brake cleaner on there. Keep yeah, scrub all that rust off. You don't want that on there. It's not doing you any favors. So we just clean it up as much as we can. Once you get round to the caliper, it is seized. So I don't actually show you in this video how to unseize it, even though I can explain to you now and all it was I couldn't wind it back. So when it came to winding the cylinder back, it wouldn't move. So I had to go in the car, lift the handbrake a couple of times, and then I pressed the brake, the foot pedal for the brake a couple of times, and it pushed the cylinder out a little bit, and then I was able to wind it back in. But I will come to that and I'll show you. But I did have a lot of trouble with it. It did take a lot of time. But the plan is to refurb these calipers, the two on the back, because they both were seized, and I think it's just the rubber seals, they become old, and the piston doesn't move as freely through it. So you can get these kits where you replace all the rubber, the dust covers, and the rubber seals and various parts. So I'm going to order those, and we'll make a video, and I'll show you how to fix the caliper. But at the minute, I just needed this car to be up and running. So I did a quick fix, unseized the caliper, which you'll probably see me do. Then it started to wind back in. So you do need some pincer pliers as well to do that if you get into trouble, because if you push out the cylinder too much, it won't. You won't get the wind back tool in to push it back. So so to push it back, you're going to need something to go into the two holes and be able to turn. But you'll see that as the video goes on. I'm just explaining now why the cleaning process is on, really. So as I said earlier, this is part 2. I've already put part 1. That's the front driver's side. This is the rear driver's side. Still cleaning. Still getting all the dust off. There's quite a lot. It's not, you know, this car is got 215,000 miles on it, and it's 18 years old. These sort of jobs for these cars of this age are not easy. No wonder mechanics charge an absolute fortune to work on cars. I mean, I don't know what the hourly rate is, but I know I've probably saved quite a bit of money doing this myself. However, it does take a lot of time. I did it over the 2 days, the Saturday and the Sunday. So I'm cleaning up the caliper now. I wanted to show you this, so just so that you know, get a wire brush in everywhere, get all that brake dust off of there, wear a mask, because the brake dust is harmful. You don't want to breathe that stuff in. I mean, everybody's got dust masks after COVID, right? Or they've got an old mask, just to cover their mouth so they don't breathe this stuff in, because it is harmful. So you want to be careful of the little rubber dust cover that's over the side of the piston. So it does look pushed all the way back in, and it is. However, the actual cylinder hasn't been moving at all while I've been braking. So that's my problem. So putting the disc on now, you shouldn't have to take the carrier off. In some cases you might have to, depends what car what engine you have, or what type of Golf you've got. But in this case, on the 1.9 TDI, you don't have to take the carriers off, the caliper carriers. So the disc should go on nice and easy. Just don't do what I've done. Try and line it up first before you put the disc in, and then because I've managed to get grease, like copper grease, all around the disc, which you'll watch me clean off in a minute. But it's yeah, it's not a good look. So I've put the holding screw in, and now I'm going to clean the disc up because that just looks filthy. I mean, it won't make a difference to the braking. It's just nice to have it all clean. You don't want to ruin your pads and have a couple of 100 miles with it. So clean all that off. And now we go to the difficult bit after this, which is trying to get that piston to move. The piston in the caliper, it's rock solid. It will not come out. It will not go. The only way to push that cylinder out will be to press the brake. And then the fluid will come down the brake line and it will push the cylinder. But you just want to push it enough so that you're able to free it. I also removed the dust cover as well so that I could get some brake fluid around the cylinder and sort of lubricate it up so it would go back in when I wound it back in. But if the cylinder comes out when you're pressing the brake, then it should go back in. It shouldn't be a problem. So just if you can do that a couple of times, like push it out, push it back in. I mean, on this occasion, I pushed it the whole way out, and then I had to sort of line it all back up and put it all back in. It was, yeah, a pain in the neck to be sure. So yeah, as you can see, that piston is not moving at all. I've tried to put the wind back tool on to not push it in because it's already pushed in. So literally I could put that back on now, but there wouldn't be any point because it's not working. It won't be putting any pressure on. And then when it was putting pressure on, it was stuck. So basically it would have been rubbing against the disc, and then eventually the pads wear down and the disc wears down, and then if the piston's still not moving, it just sits there doing nothing. So we eventually sort of freed it up, and then I tried everything: oil, brake fluid, just to try and get it moving, and it was going nowhere. So I had to resort to pushing it out completely, getting the cylinder out. So I start pushing there. You see me pushing the lever for the handbrake to see if it would move out. I kept pushing the lever, still nothing happening. So went in the car, started pressing the brake, and the piston started to move, which was pretty good. It was a start anyway, a start of many things. So I found a hole in the dust cover. When the dust cover stretches out with the piston, there was a hole in there, so that needs replacing. So like I said earlier, I've ordered the repair kit. Comes with all the rubber grommets and little rubber seals and bits and bobs that need to go in. I'll do a video on that as well. This is just a quick fix to unseize it. So it's sort of pushing it out, pushing it back in, pushing it out, pushing it back in until you get some sort of movement there. I also removed the dust cover and I moved the cylinder altogether. I took it out. I wouldn't advise that. That is a really difficult job. Getting it back in is an absolute nightmare. So I've got these pincer pliers, and you can see the two grooves in the cylinder. You get your pincer pliers in there, and you should, in a good caliper, be able to turn that by hand without a wind back tool, because these are wind back, so you have to turn and push at the same time, whereas the front are just push backs, so you can just literally, you can push them back with your hand. these ones, they have to be turned and pushed. I've put a WD-40 on that, which you're not supposed to, but I've put it on to try and get that the rubber dust cover to move freely. So when the cylinder's turning round, the dust cover doesn't move with it and stretch it. So I get some WD-40 in there just so it frees up the dust cap. But later on, I take the whole thing off anyway. I didn't film all of that because it would have been probably a 2-hour video of putting it all back together. But I managed to get some movement on it with the wind back tool, and it wound back in, and then I pushed it back out again. I wound it back in. I even went out at one point and bought a new caliper from GSF Car Parts. When I got it home to replace the caliper, it was the wrong caliper. It was a different caliper. Yeah, the caliper carrier, it wouldn't screw onto there, so that got boxed back up, and I took it back Monday. This was the Saturday, so it was shut at 2 o'clock, so there was nothing I could do. So the only option I had was to try and fix this caliper. And I'm not gonna say it was easy, and it was extremely difficult. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a young man, and when you're kneeling down on the floor trying to do these jobs, it's not easy. You can see the chocks under the other wheel because obviously we don't have a handbrake on at the moment. So it's always get some of them. They were £6 from Halfords. They were a great bit of kit. So still trying to move this cylinder. It will not budge. So I go back in the car, pressing the brake to see if it all move. Still no movement. So I've actually taken the rubber dust cover off now. So, and I've had the cylinder out and I've polished it all up and cleaned it, put loads of brake fluid on it because you're not meant to use WD-40 and brake fluid don't really integrate mix. So you use actual brake fluid as the lubricant. And I suspect it's just the seal in between the cylinder and the actual caliper that's gone really stiff and hard, and they swell up when they get old, the rubber seals. So I think it's just that seal that needs replacing, and it should work fine. But this kit that repairs it all, it comes with all that. And also the dust cover's got a hole in it. I don't know if that's happened. That's probably why it's seized up, because dust has got in there. So eventually started turning this way, that way. The camera then just shut off and didn't film anymore. I didn't realise at the time that it wasn't filming. So as we go into the next part, the caliper's on. Just to point out, at the back of the caliper, you see that now, that little spring loaded on the back of the brake pads. There's two spring loaded things. They have to go each side of the brake caliper. You can't miss them. You won't be able to put it on. If you put it on and it's not right, you'll know. It should be quite hard to force on because the spring loaded bits will be pushing the caliper back. So it's what you want to do. You want to push it on, get one of the screws and screw that in, and then do the same with the bottom one. And once they're in, they'll be fine. Putting these screws in, if you haven't had the same problem as me and you're not planning on taking them off again, you can put a little bit of Loctite on the screws. But I did these up I made sure that they were done up quite tight. I didn't do them with a torque wrench or anything, but and because the plan is to take them back off again in the future, maybe a week's time. I'll see what if they're still working, but that's just a short-term fix just to get the car going. I had no plan. I have no plan on, carry on driving the car in until they're fixed properly. But it'll get me around for now. After I did it all and everything was fine, the brakes work fine now. But this is part two. There's going to be 7 parts altogether. So the calipers are coming back off again, and then they'll be refurbed. I'm going to clean them all up, get all the new rubber seals through them, put all that in, and that'll be another video. So we're doing these bolts up. While the bolts are getting done up, I'll just tell you that this is a series of videos that's going to happen. We're going to do, I've done, there's part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. So part 1 will be front driver's side. Part 2 is rear driver's side. And then 3 and 4 will be on the passenger side. And then part 6 of the video will be refurbing the 2 rear calipers. And part 7 will be bleeding the brakes and replacing all the brake fluid. So I'll replace all the brake fluid and then I'll bleed them all so that you can see that process. Because if you didn't watch part 1, then I just remind you that every 2 years the brake fluid needs replacing. So it's best just to replace it when you do your brakes, really, when you do everything. It's just why the car's being worked on, it just saves the job. So I'm putting the handbrake on there. I don't know if you noticed that. I just checked to see if it's on, and then you can put the wheel back on. And do all your checks, make sure everything's back on, make sure that's tightened up, that it's not loose. Not that it matters, because as soon as the wheel goes on, the wheels will hold the brake disc on. That's just a holding screw. And the other difficult thing about working on cars and filming, you've got to keep moving the camera around, and so it makes things twice as hard and twice as long. And I hope you like the videos, and I am doing my best. They will get better, especially the editing and stuff like that. But like I said in part 1, I am doing a voiceover on this one because it was a bank holiday weekend. Everybody was out in the gardens mowing the lawns, and I didn't want to have the background noise spoiling the video. So I've decided to do a voiceover on this, which I've only, I've just learned how to do on the part 1. Yeah, put the wheel back on. I'm not going to show you how to do that. Everybody knows already, bolts in. But like and subscribe. It'll help the channel. And thanks for watching, and see you in part 3. Bye.